On July 14, 1789, the streets of Paris erupted in a fervor that would forever change the course of French and indeed world history. This was the day the Bastille, a medieval fortress and symbol of royal tyranny, was stormed by an enraged populace, marking the dramatic beginning of the French Revolution. While the fortress itself held little strategic value and only a handful of prisoners at the time, its fall was a profound symbolic victory, igniting the flames of rebellion and signaling the demise of the Ancien Regime. For decades leading up to 1789, France had been simmering with discontent. The lavish spending of the monarchy, particularly under King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette, had plunged the nation into deep financial crisis, exacerbated by costly involvement in wars like the American Revolution. Meanwhile, the vast majority of the population, the Third Estate, bore the brunt of crippling taxes and widespread poverty. The rigid social hierarchy, which privileged the clergy, First Estate, and nobility, Second Estate, while denying basic rights and opportunities to the common people, fueled a growing sense of injustice. Ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity, championed by Enlightenment thinkers, resonated deeply with an increasingly frustrated populace. By the summer of 1789, tensions reached a boiling point. The king's dismissal of Jacques Necker, a popular finance minister who had been seen as sympathetic to the Third Estate, was the immediate catalyst. This act, perceived as a move to suppress the burgeoning National Assembly, formed by representatives of the Third Estate, sparked widespread outrage. Parisians, already suffering from bread shortages and exorbitant prices, feared a royal crackdown and began arming themselves. On the morning of July 14th, a large crowd, desperate for gunpowder and weapons, converged on the Hôtel des Invalides, a military hospital and armory. They successfully seized thousands of muskets and cannons. Armed and emboldened, their gaze then turned to the Bastille. The Bastille, built in the 14th century, had served as a state prison since the 17th century. Its imposing walls and grim reputation made it a potent symbol of the monarchy's absolute power and arbitrary detention. Though by 1789 it was largely disused as a political prison, holding only 7 inmates, its very existence represented the oppressive nature of the Ancien Regime. Under the command of Governor Bernard-René Jourdan de Launay, the Bastille was defended by a small garrison of soldiers. As the crowd gathered, demanding the surrender of the fortress and its armaments, negotiations ensued. However, the situation quickly deteriorated. Shots were fired, and the furious mob, augmented by mutinous French guards, launched a full-scale assault. After several hours of intense fighting, during which cannons were brought to bear on the fortress, the defenders, facing overwhelming odds, eventually surrendered. The fall of the Bastille was swift and brutal. Launay and several of his men were killed by the enraged crowd as they were being escorted to the Hôtel de Ville. The prisoners, though few, were freed, and the Bastille itself began to be systematically dismantled by the people, stone by stone. The significance of the Bastille's storming cannot be overstated. It was not merely the capture of a prison, it was a profound declaration of the people's power. It demonstrated that the absolute authority of the king could be challenged and overthrown by collective action. News of the event spread like wildfire across France and Europe, inspiring revolutionaries and striking fear into the hearts of monarchs. The storming of the Bastille galvanized the French Revolution, giving it an irreversible momentum. It led to a wave of popular uprisings throughout France, effectively dismantling the old feudal system and paving the way for the declaration of the rights of man and of the citizen. While the path ahead for France would be long and tumultuous, marked by violence and political upheaval, July 14, 1789, stands as the moment the people seized control of their destiny, ushering in an era where the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity would forever reshape political thought and governance around the world. Today, Bastille Day remains France's national holiday, a vibrant celebration of the day the nation broke free from the shackles of absolute monarchy and embarked on its journey towards a republic.